Welcome back to the Real Precious. Happy Thursday. It is a Thursday. We are not here on our scheduled day, but we're here. We are here. And I thank you guys for being here. Definitely share the live. We have a great night for you guys, a great night of topics that we're just going to dive into and just have a little bit of further discussion on these different topics. So definitely hit the like button, share this stream just so everyone knows that we are live. I know it is a little bit of a fix in the schedule, but hey, I appreciate y'all for rocking with me because it's some things are changed on this end, and so I do want to be able to do these shows and have these conversations. So again, I appreciate you guys for rocking with me on a Thursday, and continue to tune in so you know when the shows will be, because until I get a set schedule right now, my schedule is just going to be a little bit all over the place. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you. My co-host King Smith is not here tonight. He is celebrating his birthday week or weekend. He took some days off, and I know that he said he's going to be by the beach. So King, we wish you a happy birthday and many more. But
Happy birthday, King.
Yes, happy birthday. We do have Sean and Hank in the building right now. We may have some others join us. I will drop the link for those who want to join the conversation. I'll drop that. But until then, Sean, how are you this evening, sir?
I am doing well. Thank you for asking, and yourself.
I'm doing good. A little tired, but I'm doing good. Had to
Good,
take a
good.
nap.
I'm blessed to be here. I if you follow me anywhere, you know that I lost a few
Yeah.
people. Excel, my man Wiz, Wayne Kitchens, and then this morning Edith. The last two are people who I grew up with. The one is a person who I met in the industry and a great guy. And also Rodney Sally, his mom passed away, which is another guy that I grew up with. He's a pastor out in Atlanta, and his mom passed away. So, with that being said, I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed to be alive, and as we all are.
Yes, and I'm sorry for your loss. I did see that on your page. I was like, not another one, but hey, this life that we live is not promised. And so we definitely have to be appreciative for every day that we have here. So my condolences to you, Sean, and I hope everyone in the family does find peace and seek peace. In times like this, death can definitely bring out the good, bad, and the ugly in people. So definitely keep you in our prayers. Hank, how are you this evening?
I am good, everybody. How about yourself?
Doing good. Thank you so much for rocking with us on a Thursday. I appreciate you.
Doing well, brother. Hey, what's up?
What'd you say, Sean?
I said, doing well, brother Hank. What's up?
Right on. Everything's good. I'm here to see another one, so it's all good.
Yes. But we do have some people joining us in the chat, so I do appreciate you guys. Sarika Smith, our greatest mod in the YouTube land, says, evening, everyone. Please hit that like button as you come in. Just a reminder, definitely hit that like button as you come in. Jeffrey Woodland says, what up? Let's get this thing cracking. Thursday night show. Yes, Thursday night show. Sarika says, welcome, everyone. Please hit the like button as you come in. Sean is in the chat. Welcome, everyone. Meredith is saying, amen, Sean. Thank you guys for those who are joining us from Facebook. Definitely share the live. I appreciate you guys watching from over on Facebook. Share the live with a friend who may need to join in on the conversation tonight. Average Man, I see you in the chat saying good evening, everyone. Good evening to you as well. Again, guys, please hit that like button as you come in. It's free. It's actually outside of the live chat. So if you go outside of the live chat, hit that thumbs up button. We would greatly appreciate it. All right. So the first topic that we're going to bring up, just a little bit of an icebreaker, so people can join and kind of get settled in. But I saw this, I believe it was on Threads. I saw it and I was like, you know what, I want to talk about this because I think I was brought up to live within my means, right? So you don't want to be house poor. You don't want to be paying all these bills for things that you can afford. You want to spend your money wisely. And I saw this post and it says, I get a 70 to 100K salary is more common in 2024, but we're not going to keep pretending it's not enough. LOL. What are you buying? So I wanted to get you guys' perspective and anybody who's watching in the chat because it reminded me of the Kendra G show and how people go on there and they name their requirements. And Kendra G actually asks people what their money requirement is, men and women. She doesn't just ask the women, she asks the men too. What is your money requirement, right? And a lot of women today, well, not all, but a lot will say, oh, well, he got to make 100K and up, right? They may have never dated a man who made 100K and up, but now they want a man who makes 100K and up. But with this post saying, I get 70 to 100K is more common in 2024, but we're not going to act like it's not enough. Do you guys think it's not enough? 70 to 100K is not enough in 2024?
It depends on where you're living, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Being a native of New York and currently living in California, it can be challenging. Um, with the cost of living in those two cities in particularly. But I guess in other places, I found that it's not as challenging. It can actually be comfortable in other places, but in New York and LA, two of the most expensive places to live in the United States, I would say that it can be challenging, but it's not impossible. You can definitely make a living.
Mm-hmm. Hank, what about you? Do you think 70 to 100K is enough in today's society or not really?
No, look, a lot of places in the South, you can live good off of that type salary. So um, I would think unless like I guess Sean was saying, you're in the major cities, maybe it's not. But if you want some of that Southern hospitality, you can get away with between that 70 to 100K and be good. And I look, if you make that here in Kentucky, you're gonna live real good. If you go close to that 100K mark, you're gonna live real good.
Mm-hmm.
So I uh, I don't know. I mean, look, me in my opinion, if you can't make it off at 100K, man, you need to look to relocate. You need to look to relocate if you cannot make it off that salary where you're currently staying at. If you can, if it's that much of a struggle, you may need to look to find another residence, maybe in a whole different state. Maybe that's what you need to do. So
Yeah,
That's a good.
I
Go ahead.
definitely would. Go ahead, Sean.
No, I was going to say that's a great point, and also lends to the point of, as Hink, as you always say, one pot and having a relationship of a couple of people to be able to sustain a nice lifestyle, and that's where that 50-50 arguably can be beneficial. Because definitely when you have two people making that amount, it eases a lot of frustration when you have that one pot and you're able to. Uh, coexist and basically be married. I wouldn't even say coexist, married. That's what we always speak about.
I would agree, but in today's society, the one pot thing is I don't want to say old school, but a lot of young adults nowadays, especially the women, will think, "Oh, well, my money is my money. What does he have to, or what does my money have to go towards him being a provider and bringing in the money for the house and paying all the bills?" And you would think that the one pot would be feasible and would make sense to a lot of people, but the immaturity of a lot of younger people, when you think about them joining in relationships, I don't think that they really have a realistic view of how finances should be intertwined and joined, when they should be intertwined and joined, which honestly shouldn't be until marriage. But what would you say to the young person that is getting married? How would you break that one pot down in language and verbiage that they would understand and that would make sense to them?
So, is-
Hank, I'm gonna leave that one to you because you know you advocate for
yeah.
one.
Payne, could you mute, man? We don't hear you humming, doing all that extra stuff. Thank you, sir. Even when he ain't trying to interrupt, he's interrupted. Come on, Payne. Um, as far as how I did it, broke it down to my lady, and just explain to her this is it. This is what it is. We bringing all our monies together. It's look. If we're coming together, if I'm gonna bless you with my last name, then this paper should be a problem. This because that's all it is. Is paper. It's only about how much we value it. Um, but bringing our finances together and showing her and bringing it down on how much more we can be successful. You know what I'm saying? How much an irritant it is to have to go and say, hey, I need half on this grocery bill. The light bill's due. I need your half. You need to Zelle me your half of the money. No, we're not trying to do that, And also it's all about a level of trust, you know what I'm saying? And you got a piece of that. Hey, if you trust me enough to marry me and give me your heart, then give me the paper. You know what I'm saying? Explain to her how this thing's gonna go. It's a committee. It's a committee of two. We're gonna come together, make decisions on whatever major purchases we need to make on. If you feel like there's anything that you may want to get me a gift on me, that's where you have your own credit card. You have a credit card that's your personal credit card that you're going to use, but that we're going to pay for the bill out of the one pot. So it's not like you don't have access to go and get something, say you want to surprise me or go get your nails in the hair. And it's what the credit card's for. Use it, do what you got to do. Now, hopefully, you're responsible with and show a level of responsibility. Of course, as a man, you should already realize that and acknowledge that and recognize that in her spending habits prior to you getting married to her. You present all of that to her and share all of the details and how it's going to work and how it will look. You know what I'm saying? Let her know uh, that when we come together, we make major purchases, we'll have a conversation on it. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna get the final say so because it's gonna fall on me if this major purchase doesn't go the way it should go. So that's how I did it with my lady.
I like that. So you broke it down for her. You explained to her how it would be beneficial, for you joining your monies together. You also created a avenue for those what ifs, and what ifs are okay if she wants to buy me a gift, if she wants to surprise me. That's what you have a credit card for, right? So it's not something that you're necessarily joining in or taking out of that pot, but it is being accounted for on her end, knowing that that's something that she wants to do for you. So, with women, because we look for leaders, right? We're prone to be with a leader, someone who breaks it down like that. You also mentioned trust. If you trust to be in a relationship with me, be married to me, then why we got to put a hold on the paper, or why we got to have stipulations when it comes to that, right? And so I think that's a huge thing, and that's something that Sean always talks about on the show is trust. So if you don't have trust, that's I think that when people don't want to do the one pot, is either they don't have trust in the other person, or they actually really don't have trust in themselves to be vulnerable when it comes to the money talk, or when it comes to the uh, let's join finances. It could be a one person might be more strong in it than the other, right? And a lot of people don't want to show that vulnerability when it comes down to money management, and things of that nature. So I like your approach, Hank, and just saying, hey, look, let's talk about this, see eye to eye on it, agree, and move forward. And we know what it is when it comes to money. So there is no, well, why'd you do this? Or, what happened with this purchase? Arpane, how are you this evening, sir?
Wow, there's some good comments coming across too. What's up, Payne? Hey, Payne, you're on mute. You're on mute, Payne.
I muted on my mic. Yeah. How's everybody doing?
Doing good. We're
We're
doing
good.
good.
We're good.
Can you hear me? Yeah. All right. Yeah. No, I mean, I heard what Hank said. My situation wasn't that much different than that. But a couple of things. So you have to gain the trust. I mean, even like long before you get married.
Mhm.
Right. So we had a joint account, and I made sure that my wife had, just like I did, had our checks going directly to the account. Right. No thinking about it. Plus, I also had a certain amount of money. I told her she has to put into her 401k plan. Right. At least 10%, a little bit more. Uh, So we set it up, all that stuff up. So we just paid the bill out of those accounts. Now I never had a problem with her having her own bank account with just her name on it.
Mhm.
I didn't mind as long as the money that I needed from her was going into that account automatically. I didn't care if she needed that account for the stuff she wanted to do. It just didn't come out of the main pot, right? So I mean that's fine. If you're working, I don't have no issue with that. And we kind of still operate like that today. Matter of fact, that I'm retired, I send her a little bit of money every month for the shit. Like, yeah, it's not a lot, but so here I'm retired. I'm just chilling out. She does almost everything for me. She's like my administrator, right? So I say, hey, well, here's some stuff. If you want to get your hair done, don't have to worry about it. Because she's still working. So,
Mm.
so these other things are on me. Get your nails done, get your whip. It's funny. So we never had any issue with finances. Matter of fact, I'm so anal. I have like a flow chart of where all the money comes in and how it all gets processed and how it all goes out. It's on one page. So we sit down and go over that like every quarter. This is how much goes here. This is what's getting paid automatically. This is the kind of stuff that we have to do manually. This account goes there. This is how it all matches up. It's all on one page, like a PowerPoint slide. And as things changes and the numbers change, I just update. So
I
she
think
knows.
I was gonna say, I think I remember you saying that before, how you guys have that, what's coming in, what's going out, how it's getting paid. So that's another thing. That's, one of the first things that they tell you to do when managing
Mhm.
your finances, to be able to know what's going in and what's going out. Because a lot of times it's not really how much you make, it's how much you could save, and how much of that you're using responsibly within the home. So that is another thing. So Hank talked about having that conversation, having that trust, and with having it on paper, it makes everyone accountable, right? So you can't really, if it's on this paper, and or if it's not on this paper and it's happening, then we got a problem.
Yeah,
um
we do that.
yeah.
It's been good. So she trusts me and all that kind of stuff. I trust her. We
Mhm,
have a joint credit card, and she has full access to it.
mhm,
And every month, and you know what? Here's the thing: I don't go through the charges. I
mhm.
don't even look at them. I just look at what the bottom line number is, and the number every month doesn't go outside of what I think is normal, right? To run the household and stuff like that. So I don't care what she buys. Because there's never no real big run up. Oh, what's this $800 charge? Or that no, never happens.
Okay, so basically, you're saying that you both are responsible with your finances, and that
It
uh,
we had some hiccups along the way, but after 30 something years, it's like a smooth oil
Gotta
machine.
talk about those hiccups, because I think a lot of people, we tell people what to do, and here on the Real Precious, we like to keep it real. We want to tell them
Yeah,
what the reality of it is, especially young folks who think that, well, my money is my money, his money is my money, and that's how we gonna roll. And it's like, no, you do have to have those conversations and be open to
yeah,
doing it a little bit differently. And when you
absolutely.
run into stumbling blocks, and that those are rifts that you have to get through once you're married. A lot of people don't actually go to the step of getting married. They want to move in with one another, combine their finances. We live together now, so you take care of this, I take care of this. And they do that for years, and they never really solidify, a financial plan, and what that should look like, because they really don't have a foundation set. So what were some of the struggles,
well, no, well, just you had to. It wasn't normal for us, so we didn't go through a lot of that. I never went to the part where we had to yell and fuss. I mean, she had to get used to the fact that she was working, and when she stopped working, it became less of an issue because I was the only one having the money until the kids went to school. But it was really smooth, just like, okay, all right, so this you overspent a little over here, maybe I had to remind her a couple of times before she went to automatic. I said, you still, putting the deposit the old way. You got to do it the new way. Right. So it wasn't like, snap, snap. So she had to get used to that. But as far as her 401k plan, she automatically did it when I asked her. So I mean, we didn't have big hiccups,
Mhm.
not real big ones. So, but we, it wasn't as smooth from the beginning. Uh, but and when I say not smooth, it wasn't like so rough. It was she was easily moldable. Let me put it to you that way, right?
Mhm.
And I pay all the bills. Not that all the money was mine. It just I just pay them all. I made sure all the bills got paid, right? Because even back in the old days, we didn't have all that automatic shit. It was like envelopes and checks.
Checks, right? I remember
Yeah, envelopes and checks. So I
way
didn't,
more.
yeah, every 2 weeks I wrote all the checks. I made sure all that stuff was done, even though she was contributing. But it was just one bill payer. That was me.
Mhm.
So she didn't really. Sometimes she didn't know where things were. So I had to make sure. That's why we started those quarterly sit downs,
Mhm.
because I wanted her to know where everything's at. I even have a spreadsheet besides the PowerPoint. I have a spreadsheet with everything on it. Everything. Numbers for the cards, points for like hotel points. Uh, you know, um, Everything, the insurance companies, all that kind of stuff. Here's the number. Here's all that kind of stuff. So once she opens that file, it's right there. The will's done. All that kind of stuff is taken care of. And
That's
I
important.
let my daughters know that stuff too,
Right.
because
Because
if
if
I
something was
go,
to happen to you, right. If something, do you know how many women, men pay the bills and take care of all the financial dealings in the home, and something
Mhm,
happens to that man and she don't know what to do, where to pick up, who to call, where to send this check to, where, that's very important. And I think that a lot of people want to keep certain things close to their chest
mhm,
when they have to deal with the reality of situations. And the reality is we are a family, and I am the head of the family. And if something was to happen to me, there needs to be a line of communication, and there also needs to be knowledge of what's going on. While I may be paying all the bills, I still need you guys to know what's going on. And it's great that you share it with your daughters as well,
yeah,
because that's something that they'll carry into their relationships, or look for in a
right,
man to say, hey, look, is he sharing this with me? Is he being open about these things?
right. Well, that too. I'm gonna build. This is almost at the end. I also did it so, like men, we tend to go before our wives. So I told my daughters, now that they're grown ladies, said, if I go, you're gonna have to take care of your mother, right? You're gonna make sure she's
Mm.
straight, right? So I wanted them to know where all my stuff was, And when I was working, I had a guy, one of my buddies at work. I said, if anything, told my wife, anything happened to me, call this number, and he'll tell you how to navigate all the stuff at my job. What benefits are there and all that kind of stuff. So that she didn't have to make all those calls. I had a buddy that she knew that would take care of that. But now I'm retired, so I don't have to worry about that. I mean, I was just thinking about those things.
What's interesting about what you're saying, and Hank touched on it too, and I want to clarify to anybody who's listening, it's not about specifically who is taking care of it. I think the best person suitable for the job, and in their cases, they are the best people from what they just both described. But I wouldn't limit it to, if you aren't the best person, to relinquish that administration to your wife or whomever is the best person. So just be mindful of that. And as Meredith said, couples need to set a realistic framework of how their life is going to be. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. And that's what you're describing. So I appreciate just some of the things that I actually do learn from my brothers here on the panel is some of those financial ideas. I like the way that you said in the spreadsheet. I'm not that savvy as far as technological, but I do like that idea, and I can have it administrated. And maybe my wife to be will be able to be the administrator of that. But
Mhm.
the point is having it uh, transparent, as
Yeah,
Precious would say. That's part of the transparency when she says hot, honest, open, and transparent. That transparency of knowing where everything is beneficial, and the openness to have those conversations is key as well.
Yeah, because like we were saying earlier, a lot of people don't grow up seeing that. I grew up seeing my dad sit at the table and writing all the checks, and spending that time to be allocated to focusing on paying the bills and making sure things were in order. There was never a time where we needed anything, never a time where we felt like we went without, because he was very smart when it came to that, and very diligent when it came to that. I do remember, my mom being in the store and my dad's calling, and he would call so many times, and I'm like, why he keep calling her? But as I got older, I'm like, he calling her because he don't want to spend money. So that is something that women have to, women, when we have our money, or when we're working or whatever, we think we can just do whatever with it, right? That we aren't as analytical about certain expenses as men are. Men will go without, whereas women feel like they shouldn't go without. And that is something that has to be a huge shift in the mind when you are joining with someone, because now it's two of you, it's not just one. You can't be selfish, you can't think of yourself above the other person. As a matter of fact, you should be thinking of yourself and how you can, serve that person while being respectful of the relationship. So that's a mindset that, a lot of young people do not have today at all whatsoever. And they don't see that as an example. So when we have these conversations, I like when you guys open up and share and give that information, how you deal with the struggles that you face while doing it, so they can see that it is possible. And there doesn't need to be a power struggle. There doesn't need to be any animosity in the home because money is going into one pot, because that's how it should be. If you stepping foot in this house, all the money should be going into one pot. And then those extra accounts, as long as you guys are aware of what they are, that shouldn't be an issue either. It should be whatever works for the family. I want to get to some comments, and honestly, Meredith brought up so many great different points that I starred a lot of them. She says, I don't have a money requirement. That said, I often find myself making more than men. Then when I want to do things, they often can't afford to do what I do. I don't want to emasculate anyone. It's kind of touchy. So that is a dynamic that we face in today's society, where there are women making more money than men. And she says, I don't want to emasculate anyone. It's kind of touchy. I mean, I honestly would say, are you trying to be with these men and like for real, or it's just that when y'all have dates or do certain things, you can afford things that they can't? Because if you're trying to be with someone, kind of like what Sean was saying, he may not be proficient in some areas, but he would want his woman to definitely have those skill sets. And sometimes women have it better than men. I mean, there are some men who do it better than women, and there are some women who do it better than men. But not emasculating anyone definitely would be priority. And also just understanding that some people just need help in ways that they're not going to be vocal about. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be vocal in those areas, because they should. However, that's where you have that hot conversation, right? That honest, open, and transparent conversation. It don't have to be with every man, but if it's a man that you truly like, and women, y'all know when you truly like somebody, when you truly like that man, right? So if you truly like that man, if you are, a little bit more proficient in that area, then I would say, get that man on a plan where he's able to save more, or budget his money better, or move around better when it comes to money, and just be a little bit more savvy in that area. Because I don't think that it always has to be a man that is strong in that area. There are some women who are out here that are accountants, that work in finance, that can definitely be of a huge help to a lot of men out here. But because men aren't necessarily open their mouths, and women don't want to emasculate men, there becomes a communication barrier in which you're not joining together and actually, making the relationship go further, because one is maybe ashamed, the other don't want to, tip the boat and get things a little bit rocky. But a lot of times things do have to get a little shaky before they get straight.
Well, let me add. Can I add something to what she said last? The one that you just had up there about the touchy one. I mean, also depends on the nature of their relationship, right? The fact that she might make more money than the guy she's with, I mean, if it's a casual guy, it doesn't matter that much. If it's a serious relationship, then it matters more. And if it's a marriage, then the understanding has to be there. But I just think that the nature of provision changes when a woman makes more than her husband if you're married,
Right.
right? Because a man's provision to a woman is more than just money. You
Right.
know, it's more than this. It's comfort. It's order. It's all of those kind of things. So if you can recognize that, and she recognizes that, a man doesn't necessarily lose leadership just because the woman makes more money than he does. And leadership in that sense means that she has to recognize him as the leader of the family, not to say he's telling her what to do. But I got one more thing also about if a woman's better at making the money, I mean, handling the money than a man. The only reason why I thought a man should be the guy handling the bills, because women will tend to shield you if you ain't making enough money. And if you get detached from what money's coming in, and you asking your wife to handle the bills and making those decisions on what gets paid first, and that now you're putting the world's pressure on her shoulders, and I don't think that's where it belongs. You need, as a man, you need to know how the finances are getting worked. And even if you ain't better at handling them, you don't, because you can tend to get detached if you're not writing the bills. You don't know how bad it is. If you lose sight of how bad it might be, if you don't make enough money, and she's making those decisions, she's handling creditors and all that kind of stuff. Now you're putting the pressures of the world on your wife's shoulders when it belongs on yours. You know,
Uh,
and,
let me
yeah,
let me let me push back.
that's just how I look at it.
Let me push you back on that a little. It's not about if you're having pressures. It's not her pressures, your pressures. It's the pressures of you guys not doing something properly, and not having. When I say not having, let me clarify. I have very clear indications and understandings about money. I'm very responsible with it. I just don't like it because I get too particular. I'm kind of anal to where it becomes a tedious task for me, where it can be a much simpler task for someone else or other than me. Like when I had my accountant, I can always in my mind and on books record my accounting and understand it clearly. But when I had somebody who was actually monitoring it while I was out there making it, it helped give me balance. So it wasn't like I lost sight of it to your point, but it was just the point of, you know, trying to focus on other things than that. And I would put too much energy into that when I'm doing it
Yeah, but
to where I
I
was.
didn't direct that. I didn't direct that. Definitely told you. It just sparked something in my head. I wasn't directing it to you because
I
I
didn't take it
understand where you
personally.
were coming. I understand where you were coming from. I'm just saying, if we could just take it out of what you said, it just sparked something in my head on why I thought it was important for me to handle the money because my father used to come. This is the old head. The old heads used to come home and just give the money to their wives, just a whole check. My grandfather, my father, all those kind of guys. And I said, well, what the hell are you doing that for? And in my head, right? I said, I'm never going to do that. But then it kind of formulate in my head later on why I wouldn't do it. It's not that I don't trust a lady to do it. And the best of all worlds, you're both are good with money. That's the best of all worlds, you know.
I
And
agree, but let me ask you this. I didn't take it personally, but I am going to ask you a personal question.
it never feels short.
Of
Go
course.
ahead.
Uh, is it really that you're not, but what you just described, it is kind of like seemingly a condition of you controlling it because of your experiences that you grew up under that you didn't like. So could it be perhaps that it is more of let's say, for lack of better words, something that traumatized you
No,
when you saw it? Not. I said lack of a better words. I'm not going as
no,
far
I
as
know,
it
I know, I
trauma.
know what you mean. I know what you mean. I
You know
just
what I
didn't.
mean?
It just didn't look normal to me.
Okay.
And I mean not because of any other thing. It just didn't look normal to me. Even though. So that's it. It was no trauma, no nothing. It was just something I said I'm not gonna do. I'm just not gonna do.
I
And there's
respect that.
no real big deal about it because it worked out, right? We were never kicked out in the street. The ladies helped, they paid the rent, they did all that kind of stuff, and I wasn't involved in that. But I just knew that the guys used to come home and hand over the check. But I never sort of I never thought that's the way I would operate. So that's just it.
So Sean, would you just come home and just hand over the check and she just take care of everything or delegate however it needs to be delegated?
Yes, and let me explain why. I account And that same concept is similar, just the accountant was actually where I would bring my money to. And of course, I would still monitor it and everything, but I would bring my money. It will be placed, the bills will be paid through my accountant. He would keep me abreast of if anything was going out of whack. So the concept came from that, not specifically, a relationship. So it has nothing to do with my woman, but if my woman can fulfill that, I understand that's something that helped me be more productive to be able to get more money. So that's why I suggested, and that's why I wouldn't mind doing it, because it goes really back down to that point, that first point that I always stress is trust. And if I have the trust that she is good with that, then absolutely. Now, if I don't have the trust because she's shown other things, then I will be hiring an accountant.
Okay. I mean, that's another
So,
avenue as well.
so
Hiring.
I don't completely agree with Payne because, and the reasons why is because sometimes the women need to see, especially when you're trying to budget and you're trying to save, and so sometimes the women needs to see where the money is and what's being paid, what needs to be taken care of, and especially we trying to budget. Say we trying to buy a house and you live in an apartment, and you need to try to put at least $100 extra per check away in order to make save enough money to have a down payment and pay for closing costs and all the other fees you have to do to buy a house. When a woman gets the opportunity to see what's being done with the money, how's it going, and all of that, then she has the opportunity to have a better understanding. When you just basically off just telling her what's going on, it doesn't always help. Sometimes they just need that visual. There's something about that visual for a woman that really helps them and helps them understand, and helps them get some type of clarity. So that's one reason why I will allow her to work the bill. Now, look, what I'm all about, trust but verify. Like when Payne said she's got her own account. No, there's no her own account because I have access to that account. And if I need to get in that account to get money or to do whatever I need, I have that access. There's no, you have your own money and I don't know what's going on. Bullshit. As a man, you need to know what everything goes on in that house. Bills, money, emotions, feelings. If you broke a goddamn dish, you need to know. If something needs to be worked on or fixed or corrected or adjusted, that man needs to know so he can make the proper decisions and make the proper calls on whatever it is. There's no way you should not know what's going on. I don't care what's what. And another thing is, the lady also knows because we do meetings. We have meetings of financial meetings. If we're going, like I think the lady was talking about going to Africa. Okay, cool. If we sit down and talk, we want to go to Africa. We find out how much it costs to go to Africa. Okay, if that means it takes us 2 years to save this money to go, then we need to have the foresight to look out for 2 years. And if that means that airplane ticket goes up by this time next year when it's time to go, then guess what? We save another extra amount of money over the price is. So if that means we need to go an extra 1,000 over in order to save to make that money, because airplane tickets went up a couple $100, no problem. We went 1,000 over the budget to save. If we had that extra, we could use that as spending money. If we had that extra, we could use that money to put back in the account if we wanted to. Whatever we choose to do, that's how you should budget and operate and move. If not, to me, that's a problem. I don't believe in no secret accounts, no hidden accounts, no runaway accounts, none of that. Everybody knows what everything's going. My lady knows how everything operates. I know how everything operates. If there's any questions, she can go and look and find out everything she needs to find out. All passwords access, she has it. There's nothing that she don't have access to. There's nothing. No monies, Nothing. My phones, everything is open. And that's how it should be. Why am I locking it off to her? I married this woman. I said I do to this woman. I bless this woman my last name. Why would anything be hidden from me? And why would I hide anything from her?
Ooh,
Are you finished? Are you finished? Because you
go ahead.
directed that to me. I didn't know. Wait a minute. I didn't say anything was hidden from me. And I said I sit down with my wife about all the stuff all the time. So I don't understand why I got directed that. I know she has an account, and I know what's in it. Who said I didn't know what was in it? I mean, I just the level of detail. I don't know why we always go to the negative. I know where all the money in my house is at. All of it. I mean, serious.
I believe
I
you.
mean, I don't mind her having her own account. I'm not worried about it. I know what the number. I even have the account number. So I mean,
I got a question. What is the point of the account? Is it just to make her feel better? I mean, if it's everything, everything
she
is so
had it for
open.
years. She had it for years before she knew me. I just didn't cancel it. She didn't cancel it. I don't ask her to cancel it. As long as she did what I needed her to do, I didn't care because I knew how much money was going into that account and what she was doing with it. I don't know why that. I mean, it could trigger people that they won't do it, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. I mean, I got receipts. I've been married for 37 years. None of that shit bothers me. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it might be above somebody else's tolerance level, but it's not mine. And I'm not going to say it's wrong because I know what the account number is. I know how much is in there, and I know how much gets paid every month.
Well, I mean,
So
basically
I
what you're
don't see the
saying.
big deal.
Well,
I
basically,
don't.
what you're saying the same thing, just approaching it from different angles. Because
Yeah, I mean,
everything
yeah,
is
which is
everything
your
is
right.
transparent from
Yeah,
what you're describing, and I think
yeah.
that we didn't get that sense when you first said she has her own account.
Because
That's
Mr.
why
Hink
we,
is negative against the brother Payne. That's why. I mean, come on, man. I thought I was clear with that. The fact that I know she has an account means it's not hidden.
All right. Well, we're gonna move on, but before we do the dating pool roast reactions, gives a $5 super chat salute to the panel. Thank you so much for your for your contribution to the show. All right. Um, yeah, who was that? Who was it? Meredith? She said, "Look, I want to go to Africa, and his money can only go to South
it's funny, and she answered that question. She said, "Having my own account allows me to go and do what I want without having to ask permission from my husband." And Meredith, this is what I would
Mm,
say to that. That might be why you might not be married right now. I think that the point of not having to ask permission, it's not about permission, it's about having clarity. And you should never feel like you have to ask permission, but once you decide to get into a relationship, in my opinion, you decide to become one. And so there is no you without I and I without you. We both need to be aware, and to Payne's point, if that's what makes you comfortable having your own account, but yes, yet it's still open, no problem. But the point is that when in fact you talk about it's mine versus or permission for me versus us having a discussion for us, it becomes unbalanced in my opinion. And that unbalance, um, is really, yeah, that unbalance is really what causes a lot of discrepancies in our relationships in this day and age. So, to the two people who have the Payne having the longest relationship and Hank being in a very significant relationship and also being married in the past, I take heed to the advice in reference to these things because I do have my own ideas, but I definitely don't want that separation in my relationship because I do want 37 years if I can make it.
Wall Street Willie says, "I don't know what's in my wife's account. She doesn't know what's in mine. What's important is that we both are confident that if we are short, the other will cover."
Do they have
Um,
a joint account?
going in like, would you say that's going in blind? Not necessarily knowing, or do you think that that could just be a case where I make my money, she make her money, and we good?
Uh, you know what? I think personally that's a trust issue. And people just don't have trust in each other. And if you're married, trust shouldn't be a component. And
I
that's the
have
problem. Go ahead.
two questions. One, when did y'all get married, and do you have a joint account? Because it's just like how long you been married? I think
That's
that's
to
the
you, Wall Street. That's to you, Wall
that's to
Street.
you, Wall Street. How long have you been married? Because if it's one of these newfangled millennial marriages or Gen Z marriages, I don't know. But do you? And also, do you have a joint account where you both just automatically put money to cover the bills, as opposed to you take the light bill, I take I take the cable bill and all that shit. There should be an account that pays for all the bills, all of them, so you don't have to ask each other. You know,
I agree. Yeah, I'm curious to know. He said we are both well off. I don't want to leave that out.
Because in order to have a relationship like that, you wouldn't have to worry about, worrying about somebody came up short wouldn't even be a thought.
Well, what's interesting about that? I
Well,
hear that. I hear
yes,
that. I hear that. We're both well off, and that doesn't negate the fact of the lack of trust. Because if you both are well off and you both got there individually, that could cause a problem in the future. Because you both will still have your own individual mindsets, and really, that individual mindset is what often leads to divorce. You got to
or
come together and create a mindset that you agree to. Don't got to be the same mindset, but something y'all agree to.
well,
And maybe that's what you got.
this is what they agreed to. He's,
I,
he's telling us
I
this
just,
is what they agreed to.
you're right. I just thought about it as I was saying it. Maybe that's what y'all agreed to. And God bless your union.
All right, Wall Street. All right, so we're gonna move on.
He said 4 years, by the way.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
We have a joint account that sits as a buffer. Normally, I cover the mortgage and she covers whatever else, and that's usually how we go. Anna usually covers the mortgage. The women do the cable, electric, groceries, whatever is needed.
And if it works, it works. If it works, it works.
Right.
That's the bottom line. If it works, it works.
So I wanted to bring up this next topic. I actually had posted this on my page a while ago, and someone commented on it or did something, and it kind of reminded me of the topic again. But I wanted you guys to listen to this because I can relate to the words that she's saying. But the question is, do women bring the same ambitions to a personal relationship as they do a professional one?
Nurse, I can speak to that. I was a nurse for 10 years in family practice. And my physicians, if I had to take off, they would literally take off. Because I did everything, undergirded them as the nurse. If he had FMLA paperwork that needed to be filled out for a patient, it was completed except for his signature. And he trusted me enough to know that if I would fill everything. Only thing I could not do was what he had to sign, which was his jurisdiction, and I had no jurisdiction. But other than that,
his fellow
he
doctors.
did not want anybody else to work with him. Every doctor I worked with, actually, they would say, if I happen to be off and they didn't, and I come back and they said, when you take off, you let me know. They wouldn't even come to work if I was not there because of what I brought. But he knew that when I was there, all he had to do was go in and out of rooms and do what he did best. And I was there at my desk and he yelled out and asked a question. Everything gets set up. He walked into it. And so you just helped me. You just gave me revelation.
If we had the ambition in relationships that we had in our work ethic.
Exactly. That's the revelation I just got.
So much easier.
It would be different if there was the if women had that same ambition to be the partner their man needs. As they did when they go into their office and want to show out and be that one.
So would you guys agree to that? That women don't bring the same ambition that they do in professional relationships that they do their personal relationships. She talked about being pretty much very trustworthy, very loyal, very on top of it when it came to her professional relationship. not much that, those around her had to tell her what to do. She was on top of it. They trusted her when she wasn't there. They didn't want to be there because they didn't think that the work would get done the same. But do women bring that to personal relationships in regards to, you know, can he trust you behind his back? Can he trust you to be the face of both of you when he's not around? Do you guys think that women bring that to relationships, or is just a professional thing?
I don't want to generalize, but I speak about it often. If in fact you had as much ambition, not just to your relationship, as you do to your job, as you do to your education, as you do to your children, a lot more relationships will be successful. But it's not a general thing. But I see a lot of women who are very ambitious when it comes to things that they want. And it boils down to, after you get, uh, the relationship, for some reason, you lose your luster and you lose your interest on wanting. And you got to always remind yourself, and always remind yourself, what was the value in that person that you saw in the first place. And that's not gender specific. That's on both ends. But do women, anybody, if they show the ambition, I say it to men too, if you show the ambition that you do to your career or to things that you basically value, then it will show the longevity, because you basically, anything that you appreciate rises in value. Anything that you don't appreciates. And that just goes in general, wherever you want to put that.
Okay. Pink, what do you think? Do you think women bring the same ambition to personal relationships as they do in professional ones?
No, no, they don't. And men usually say something and address that too. Treat me as good as you do that white man. Treat me as good as you do at that white man at work. Give me that same respect, that same energy, that same loving, nurturing type of behavior, attitude, and approach. You hear men say it all the time. But they allow that check to determine on how they're going to treat somebody. But the man that's willing to lay his life down for you, you'll give him bare minimum. You'll give him bare minimum. And that's crazy even not to say out loud and think about. But that's some people's situation. That's some people's situation. So.
Meredith said, my boss ain't white, nor is a man. RP, what do you think? Do you think women bring the same ambition to personal relationships as they do?
I mean, listen, it's a recency thing, right? The last 20 years, when women started taking men's spaces in the workforce, and they started being as dedicated to their jobs as men have always been. So they started acting like men in the jobs, right? When there's a lot of conversation when men get wrapped up in their job, it was seen that they put all that dedication, but the purpose is for the family. But even that sometimes isn't good enough for the wife, right? If you're absent from the kids and all that. So women started moving in those spaces. Now, what Hank said is true. I mean, I've had that conversation. My wife has a job that pays her just enough so she don't have to ask me for money, right? But she works for the church, her childhood church. She's dedicated to that, right? So I said, I've thrown it on her. I said, listen, man, you know what? You hook my shit up like you do the pastor. And she looked at me, and she'll look at me and say, because that's who she works for as an administrator. But she gets the meaning. But I wouldn't say she has a problem with that. But that is an issue. But that's something you have to discuss. Like the ladies in the video, I didn't even take them to be married kind of women. I mean, I didn't know they were married. They might have boyfriend and relationships, but I'm not clear if they were married, right? So, because if you have a husband on his square, he would only allow you to go so far, right? That's what I always tell dudes, and what I do with my wife. If I see her slipping, I say something to pull her back in. I don't let that shit fester, man. You know, if I saw her dedicating so much time away from the family, I made her quit a job. When I say made her quit a job, I think I literally did. I said, listen, you got to get the hell out of there because you're making my life miserable. Right? I'll take care of everything, you know? So, um, so yeah, so it's true. Some women will do that, but it's no different than what men usually do when they dedicated to a job. Maybe our obligations are different, our motivations are different, but you know, people do get wrapped up in their jobs. I don't think that's just. I think that's almost a natural thing. When you're on the job, you want to do good, and then you take your husband or you take your wife for granted sometimes because they're always there. You don't, you know, you'll get to them. I'll get to you. I'll get to you, but this is urgent. So I think that you can slip off into that.
Yeah,
You know.
you made a good point, and you said it's a job, but a relationship is a job, and that's what a lot of people forget. To your point. And we it's always work. It's not work that sometimes you get some rest, sometimes you get some time off, so to speak, but it's always work because people change, their mentality, their experiences change them. People harden, people soften. So it really depends on you measuring and understanding those changes, and again valuing the fact that your job at the house is more important than your job outside of the house, and a lot of people just don't value that, and it's causing a lot of divorces, it's causing a lot of strained relationships, it's causing some of us like myself to be single, it's
Mhm.
it's causing a whole lot of different things. But the point is that finding somebody who understands that and is willing to change if they don't understand it is a difficult thing.
It all goes back to the kind of spouse you marry and what kind of agreements you have. I mean, it's so important that you know that those things are important because all these real world situations, I think, happen for us all in various degrees. And you know, it's your negotiation with your spouse and how you want to have your if you believe in the vows and you know you're going to go through some challenges as opposed to it being hard. You have challenges. How do you mesh, right? And I just think it just takes determination to make sure that hey, listen, we're in this for the long haul. And there's usually some watershed moments in your marriage that make sure that you're never going to leave. You know, I think that's what I'm thinking. You know, I mean, it's a whole nother story, but I'll let y'all know one of these days if y'all want to hear it. But you know, it's real. It's not a long one. When I had my two daughters, it took us 10 years to have them. My wife had to go through all kinds of stuff to have those two girls in that 10 years. And for what she did, not just for me, but for the family, for the legacy and all that, I can never repay her. I can never repay her. You know, and you know, she was willing to have another one. And I said, you know what? I got two girls. I know every man wants a boy. I said, I'm not putting you through that no more. No. And it was over. And we just let time take care of the rest.
Mm.
You know, so that kind of glues you, right? It kind of glues there's certain things in your relationship that glues you together. And the rest of the shit is just noise.
And I would say maybe that's part of why you are married for 37 years, and I commend you for taking that sacrifice and more importantly making that decision on not putting her back through another uh, difficult scenario in bearing a child, and not
Mhm.
being selfish, wanting that son more than you wanting your wife comfort and you wanting your wife's presence and ability to be with you as well. So salute.
Mhm.
And our
Yeah.
help. You know, it takes a lot to bear children. For those of you who don't know, it takes a lot on your body. You know, men will never know what that experience is like. Carrying a child for 9 months. Some women go through sickness in the first couple of months, or it may skip the first couple of months and hit the second trimester. It's a lot. It's a lot of change on your body, and again, it's something that men will never have to tap into, nor will they ever be able to empathize with that. I have a type A personality in all aspects of my life. That said, when you bring that energy home, some men want you to turn it off and be what they consider feminine and soft. I do that one can be ambitious at home and remain soft, but it's a skill like finances. I think a lot of women struggle with this. Back when I had my podcast, we talked about certain professions that women are in that they can't necessarily get out of that mode, like correction officer or army, officials, or captains and things of that nature. Like they have this persona and this hard shell that they have to have at work, and then when they come home, it's hard for them to connect. It's hard for them to be feminine and soft, because it's not something that they can just turn off. What would you guys say to this comment here? Because this is the men's panel, and she's pretty much saying, hey, look, I have a type A personality. When you bring that energy home, some men want you to turn it off, what they consider and be what they consider feminine and soft. As a woman, I think that you should be feminine and soft. That shouldn't be an on-off thing. That should be your default setting. But as women, we do hold different titles as well. So I can understand how some women can be confused on how to do that. It's not as simple as saying, oh, well, I should just be feminine and soft. That's something that I believe, but that may not be something that all women believe. So what would you guys say to this comment?
Well, she said at the end, it's a skill like finances. And as long as you are investing in that skill, you only will get better at it. Often people do not invest in that skill, nor do they value that skill, and so therefore they don't do it. I said it, and I said it to her in the comment. I said, "You're right, but it takes intentional practice, and that's with everything. It takes intentional practice for us to be monogamous. It's something that we have to really understand and be loyal and value the consideration of another. And so if you are putting forth that intention and you are doing it, that skill will only get better and it won't be as difficult as it is initially.
Yeah, being mindful, women have to be mindful, right? Women have to be mindful when it comes to how men register, how men give based off of what you're giving and how you're receiving certain things. And we all women have to be able to catch ourselves. We all have to be able to catch ourselves and not be too in our thoughts that we can't step back and say, he just wants the bareness of a woman. He don't care about the title, what you do at work. He don't care how much money you bring in. You don't care about any of those things when you can't give a smile or you can't give a kind word. None of the whatever titles you hold and things of that nature don't even matter. They really don't matter to men. But are you kind? Do you smile? Are you cooperative? Are you a team player? Or do you always got an argument? Do you always got a fight? Do you always got to have something to say? A lot of times women always got to have something to say. Just don't say nothing. Just, sometimes you have to change how you're doing things in order to get a result. And those changes may not be the right changes right off the bat. Those changes, you may have to experiment with certain things. You may have to talk to the older women. That's usually what women should be doing. Just like men should, converse with other men and get training and coaching from other men. Women should do the same thing. There's a lot of older women who are stuck in their ways and they can't tell you how to do it either. So you have to really use wisdom and be around people who you aspire to be like, or and we're all different and packaged in different packages and things of that nature. But when it comes to being soft and feminine as a woman, I understand environment, I understand being raised different and things of that nature, but you really have to tap into that. I mean, I just don't.
So can I chime in on that one? I mean, who says you can't be a type A and be feminine at the same time? I don't see why you can't do both. Without,
Yeah, I'm telling you.
I think if we define what type A is, it depends on, you could be a type A in a work environment, but what does that mean to be, why does that stop your feminine? You know what I'm saying? I mean, if type A, how do you define that in terms of getting things done or just trying to boss people around? Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you characterize type A as. If you're assertive, you could be feminine and assertive at the same time, right? But the people you interact with is going to be different. So if you got a loved one at home, you don't have to turn off your type A for me as long as you deal with me in a feminine manner, right? Don't think I'm one of your employees. That's all you got to turn off for me, right? That's it. Come over here, give me a kiss, damn it. And that's all. But I'm not asking you to turn off your type A. If you're at work and you got subordinates, that's a different thing. But at home, you can still be assertive and all that kind of stuff. But just do what you got to do to make daddy happy. You know what I'm saying?
Somebody had said it. They was like, it only takes like an hour or something.
Or an hour? You make maybe 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
And that's so right. I think what women think in their mind about men is so far from how men actually really think, and that's why I like having these discussions, because it really don't take much. It doesn't really take much, but I think that women just be in their head too much about certain things.
Wall Street, look at Wall Street put down there. That's funny.
Type A at work, type A while the kids are away, type 16 go to bed.
There you go. That we can get with that one.
Everything has its time and its place. Men help,
Precious, here's what it is. We're not asking you for more than what we're giving. We have to be able to be sensitive to some of your feelings, often more than we would like. We have to adjust. We have to accommodate certain things, and it should be reciprocated. It shouldn't. It's not that difficult. If we can do it, that's why we feel it's an issue when you don't want to do it, because you're just being rebellious, because it's not that difficult. We do it regularly. We sacrifice regularly, and that's what it's called, sacrificing. And we sacrifice regularly, whether you know it or not. So we don't have any qualms with asking you to sacrifice or demanding you have a sacrificial mindset.
So me, I don't believe that they can do it. Now I'm going by what she's saying, and that's all you can do is go by what she's saying. She said she worked at a job where she's I guess either a supervisor or manager over 97% men, and I expect her to flip that switch off and come home. Yeah, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna happen. She's not going to do that. And matter of fact, she even said it in the next comment. I said I'm the type A that responds of bringing the same energy from work to home, meaning I want to be successful at work and at home. I can't turn it off when I come home. That's me. That's all the time. So right then and there, that's what I'm talking about. No, women can't all of a sudden flip on that femininity switch. No, it's not. They can't. And to think they can, they lying to themselves, because they're going to go to the default mode, and their default mode is to be boss bitch. That's their default mode. If that's the position they're in, they supervise, they manager, that's their default mode, to go straight to, I'm doing this, I'm in charge, I make the calls. And let me tell you what's going to happen. She's going to get into argue with you. Well, I'm a supervisor over 97% of these men at my workplace. And she's going to treat you like one of her employees. Instead of looking at you as a husband that you should be looked at. You're going to be her employee, and she's going to talk, treat, and carry and act with you as such. So no, look, we know how much these women are not built for working. Most of these women are not built to work 40 hours a week. They're not built for that. They're physically not built for it. They're mentally not built for it. They're not emotionally built for it. They're not. You could ask a woman that she'd be ready to quit her job every 10 minutes. Oh, I just can't take it. I'm stressed. I'm overwhelmed. I can't take it. I'm ready to quit. I want to be a stay-at-home wife. That's how they talk. You don't hear men talking like, well, I want to be a stay-at-home man. I want to stay quit. I don't. No, they don't. Because we know we built for this. But you're going to sit there and tell me a woman who thinks and moves and operates like this is going to be able to operate and all of a sudden flip it off? No. She can't handle what's going on at work. What makes you think she's going to all of a sudden flip that shit off and not bring it home? She's bringing that shit home. She's bringing that stress home. She's bringing that energy home. And guess who's got to deal with it? Her husband. So now he's got to figure out how to bring her down, how to calm her down, at the same time still dealing with his own shit. That's what you have to do. So when they sit there talking about, oh, I could just turn on when I walk through the door, bullshit, you can't. Because you'll be in a corner crying, sipping on a glass of wine. Oh, my day at work was so long. It was so stressful. I can't take it. Ready to pull out of her what hair she has left. Ready to snatch that wig off and have a goddamn fit. Hell no, they can't turn that shit on and off. That's some bullshit.
And interesting, Meredith just said this, and I will say this. Meredith said, I don't have a boss bitch personality. I lead with empathy and empower my team to make the best decisions on their own. What's up, Chang? And I would say this in lieu of that, I've known Meredith since elementary school, and that's where a lot of your character is shown without you developing anything. And she's had this character from the time of being a young lady, ambitious, very smart. We were always in accelerated classes together, and so she had the ability. Her intelligence is what led her to the job, but her character was never that of wanting to be the boss bitch, so to speak. She definitely, because of where we were raised, you had to be not a punk for people, so you're aware, but at the same time, you having compassion and empathy in those settings is something that you either learned or you didn't. Fortunately, I would say that I'm sure we learned it. Unfortunately, some of those characteristics of having to be defensive come into play, and so it can be turned on and turned off. I don't believe in can't personally. That's something I've always taught my children. No such thing as can't. So, but it takes effort, and it takes intention, and it takes a deliberation, and so if you say you can't, you absolutely won't be able to. I agree. But if you take that out of your vocabulary and you understand what's necessary for the circumstance, you can adjust accordingly. And I wish more people will embrace that so that we could have a lot better relationships, not just men and women relationships, business relationships, and so on.
You finished? I just want to know. Listen, we're not saying. I know we're not saying that Type A people. Let's just take it off of Meredith. We're not saying that Type A women can't find love. I'm not. I don't. It almost sounds like that's what we're saying. Not all of us, but Hank, you alluded to it. I believe that if a Type A woman, no matter what she does as a Type A woman, has a man that she's clinging to and cleaving to, and not just in a situationship, but a real relationship, and I consider one marriage. Let's go there. That guy should know all the buttons to push. He should know all the buttons to push. Hey, honey, you come home. Just like if a guy comes home from work, don't be yapping at me in the first 5 minutes I'm in the door. Let me unwind a little bit. Right? So you got to know your spouse. You know your spouse, she comes in, you know what kind of job she does. And she knows what kind of job she does too. But when this sanctuary is not only a man's sanctuary, it's hers as well. So when you get in here, I'm not going to just jump on you, because men don't jump on women with problems like that, right? We don't do it at all, pretty much. As you come in, unwind, maybe I'll have a glass of wine for you. Maybe I'll, rub your feet or some shit like that. And women like to do it, get their 10,000 words in. I'll let them get their 10,000 words when she's ready. And then we'll go from there. And so I don't see the big. I mean, to me, man, any woman who's glued to a man and she loves him, I don't give a shit what kind of woman it is. There's a way to crack the code. That's what I believe. I just believe that.
It really
I
takes being mindful and intentional because I believe it's like I believe what Hank is saying, but I do believe that women can fix it if they're intentional about fixing it. Um, you can be intentional on how you speak to someone. You can be intentional on the temperament that you give someone. You can be intentional about those things. Honestly, therapy helped me. That's where I had to actually put my mind on why I was acting the way I was. Why was I so angry? Those are things that have to be spoken out. Those are things that you literally have to get out of your body physically and verbally at first. It's almost like a cleansing. And so if women aren't mindful of that, if they're not doing those things, then yes, they're going to have the verbiage of, I can't turn that off. That's not something that I can do. This is my personality, take it or leave it, but you gonna meet your right match one day. you gonna meet the right match one day, and you're gonna wonder why couldn't I get this under control? Or you're gonna lose a good one because you so stuck in your ways and how you so used to doing things that if you just took a little bit of time out to be mindful and watch what you say and watch when you say it and watch how you say it could work wonders in your life individually and then in the life of somebody that you're trying to join with, because those things are important. You're joining with a human being. You're not joining with a robot or someone that you're telling what to do. No, you're joining with somebody else that has free will and a mind of their own. And so you have to be mindful of those things. And I don't think that women take the time out to be mindful. It's just like, oh, this is me, love me how I am. And if you don't, I'll just find someone who will. And it's like, do you even love yourself like that? Because you know you got problems. Your mouth isn't the best tool that you can use. It needs to be sharpened. It needs to be analyzed in a way that you need to subtract some things from your vocabulary. You need to subtract some things from your attitude. Maybe you need to get rid of the attitude altogether. So these are things that other women don't tell women, and women walk around like, oh, well, if you don't love me like this, then somebody will. And it's like, that's not necessarily true. Because when men tell you what they want and how they like things done is usually, a resounding one band, one sound type of thing. Most men aren't veering off, about how they want to be treated, how they want to be, handled in certain situations. Like Arpain was saying, when I come in, can you at least have a hug waiting for me? Not a problem. A hug and a kiss, not a problem. Those are things that women have to be mindful of. And once you're mindful of those things, it will come second to nature to you, where you don't have that verbiage of, oh, I can't do this. No, can't should even be in your vocabulary. That's the one thing they tell you when you play sports. Can't, what, huh? That's not even and especially as a leader, you're a leader, you lead men. And so can't shouldn't even be something that you say. You should say, these are things that I need to work on. And she did clear it up and saying that it's a skill, and it is a skill. And most skills take being mindful and take focusing on the areas in where you lack, so you can get better at those things. And it may take reading, it may take audiobooks, it may take therapy, it may take those things, but work on you so you can be better with someone else and for someone else. All right. So we're going to move it right along. There was another video that I saw, and we kind of went into it a little bit. I think Sean was kind of alluding into why men disappear, though.
Sometimes men disappear because they feel like their effort is not being reciprocated. Talk about it. So hear me out. A lot of women feel like their approach to dating is, you as a man have to prove to me you are worthy of my time, my energy, and me being more vulnerable to you. And because of what you've been through, you think that's the right way to do it. But unfortunately, when you're dealing with a man who's actually serious and he's seeing you're holding back, you got walls up, he has concerns that you're wasting his time. So now he falls off because he's like, all right, she's tripping, she's not really making any effort. But because there's still a desire there, because he still likes her, I think the comment, the like, is a temperature check. Let me see how she'll respond. Let me see if I can still reignite something here. But it all stemmed from, are we actually making a mutual effort to get to know each other?
Okay.
So just make sure before you start throwing all kinds of accusations at the man, ask yourself, was I coming correct in this process or not?
Cook up, sir.
Ooh.
All right. So do women really put in effort, or do they want all the effort put in to them?
Man, I start. If we're speaking generally, of course there are exceptions. Often they don't put in the effort necessary to sustain a relationship. Initially, they do. When they want that man, they're doing everything. When they like that man, they're doing everything. They're doing things that you don't ask them to do. They're laying out the red carpet. They're cooking dinner. They're doing things that are back in doing the things that you don't even ask for. But for some reason, keeping it consistent is an issue. Now, I will say that generally, because they start having ambitions and other things that distract them from the principle, i.e., jobs, i.e., children, i.e., career or money, whatever the case may be, they start valuing those things over their mate. And it becomes a problem ultimately. Initially, it's not a problem because it's something new, refreshing, but ultimately it becomes a problem. And no, I will say generally, they put a lot. I said it earlier. If you put as much intention as you do into your making your bag, into your getting your degrees, into your whatever it is that you find valuable, your relationship will be just as plentiful and even more fulfilling. But a lot of times you don't value it. You don't value your relationship, and you don't value your man. You lose sight of the value. As somebody mentioned earlier, you start taking it for granted, and you start feeling uh, like you're entitled to the grace and to the love and to the care and consideration that your spouse is lending to you and your family and your household. And that becomes a problem. So generally, no, I don't think that it's something that they do consistently. I'll say it again. They start with it. They usually do everything you want them to do. Similar to men. I won't even make it gender specific. Do everything you want when you want something. Same way with the job. When you want to get that check, you're doing everything the boss says. When you want to get a raise, you're doing everything the degree requires. So it's about understanding what you want and valuing that you should want your relationship to be the most valuable thing in your life. But unfortunately, it's not always. Matter of fact, unfortunately, it's hardly ever.
Hank, what do you think? You think women really put in effort? Sean talked about women doing things for men that they really like, but it's not something that they're consistent with. Would you agree with that or no?
So the question is, do I?
Do you think that women really put in effort, or is it something that they do when they want something and then it falls off?
Damn. Yeah. I mean, look, we could see if a woman wants something, the effort level is through the roof. Does it fall off? Yeah. Look, we always say when before we got married, man, we was humping like rabbits. As soon as we get married, For some reason that sex meter went down to damn near 5. And now I'm only getting it on my birthdays and maybe Valentine's Day or anniversaries. You hear that story a lot. You hear them stories a lot. So yeah, I can agree with that. I could definitely agree with that. So
Our pain.
I mean, to me, I always have to try to couch this in the frame of reference of what kind of relationship he's talking about. I make these big distinctions, and I have to be careful too, because I know there's a lot of people in regular relationships that are not marriage, that are content and happy and stuff like that. So I try not to be judgmental, but I can only go from one frame of reference. I just think that if you have when we talk about effort, I mean, maybe I'm missing a point. I mean, if she's distracted because she's doing something, and at beginning she used to put that as she would put you primary, then as you start to get familiar with each other, then that primary focus changes back to what she wants to do, and then you get less. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's the kind of situation he's talking about, but women routinely think about themselves more than they think about everybody else. I think that shit goes with the territory, right? Even the men they want. I mean, if they actually get the guy, then he just becomes somebody they got, right? They might even love the dude, but now that challenge is over because that guy that she wanted, she actually got. Right. So maybe she won't go on to the next. She might be content there, but then she's going to start being familiar with the content breeds familiarity and all that other kind of stuff. I just think that it's up to. I mean, women do what women do, and depending on how much you like the woman you're with, I think sometimes we got to drag their asses out of the malaise, man. Right? If you're in tune with her, you got to expect certain things. That's what I think. Man, I tell people this, and I know it goes over people's head. When I married my wife 37 years ago, she was a woman, and lo and behold, this morning she was still a woman. You know what I'm saying? She didn't stop being a woman just because she married me.
Right.
And so so women have their own proclivities and stuff like that. And my goal is to, and I'm not always successful at it, so don't get me wrong, that is that when I see something, I say something. I try to pull her back in so we stay on point. And I try to get her to the point where she does that to me too. But that's not her personality. But I try not to let her stack shit. Right? If things are going wrong, I said, don't stack that up, man. Let me know there's something going wrong so I can fix them, so it doesn't become a big mountain. So, but with her, man, I can tell when she's kind of veering off. Come on, sweetie, the track is going this way, and I try to pull her back in. So I don't know. Every man is different. But I think in general, I'm gonna end it here. If I have a general thing to tell all men, I don't give a shit what age you're in. If you got a woman, she loves you and you love her, and you guys are working towards something, you got to be willing to pull her back on track. And don't expect her to stay on track all the time, because that's not how the women are naturally chaotic, and you're the dude who's supposed to be ordered. You're the guy who's supposed to bring her back to order. And I'm not being negative when I say chaotic. The emotional stuff makes them want to do stuff.
Right. No. I can definitely understand that. And that's true. And like I said at the beginning of the show, we look to men to be leaders, and there's a lot of time where women can't get it together in their mind, but as soon as their man comes around and says, okay, do this, don't do this, don't go, it's like a light switch goes off, and it's just like, oh, why didn't I think of that? Or why can I come up with that, conclusion? And it's because we are emotional. We run off of emotions, and it takes mindfulness again to not be so emotional, to chill out, to be a little bit more reserved. That takes mindfulness for a woman, because if we were in our natural states, we would be running around like a chicken with our heads cut off, is like, as my mama would say, running around with a chicken with your head cut off. That's just our natural state. It takes mindfulness. It takes a good man to come in and say, I know that you're a good woman, but sometimes you can go off the rails, and it's nothing wrong with that. But I'm here to put you back on track, and you can't fight me against that. You can't go against that, because I'm seeing it in a way that you're not, and I'm here to help you and not hinder you or work against you. And that's one thing that women need to realize as well, especially if if you're doing the vetting and the picking and choosing in the correct manner. You should be able to trust that your man is that rock for you. And you should be that for him as well, which means that you need to get it together and be mindful about certain things, because he needs to be able to trust you when he's not around. How are you representing the both of you when he's not around? That's a huge, huge thing that women also don't take heed to. It's not just when you guys are together, it's, can he trust you to be by yourself and still represent both of you well?
Yeah, sure.
All righty. All right. So, and then with the, do women really put in effort? I think that I agree that women do it, when in the beginning, when things are just so great, and, they got them butterflies and things of that nature. You guys talked about being married and certain things falling off. I think that open communication can help all of those things. I think if you're able to openly communicate with the person that you're with, there shouldn't be times where, a woman should be falling off. It should be, hey, last couple of weeks you was on top of it. This week you falling off. I'm gonna need you to self-evaluate and come back to the table. Because being open and honest about those things do truly help a woman, like Hank was talking about earlier with the finances, right? If you show her, if she can see, for a lot of women, seeing is believing. So if you can show her what it looks like, if you can tell her, what she needs to work on, then she's more apt to work in the way that you need her to do. But if you're just, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this. No, at the end of the day, again, you guys are leaders. We should look at you as such. And so we should go to you when we don't know what to do, or if we are confused about what to do. You should be there to put us, back on track. That's we should look to you for that. It shouldn't be a fight. It shouldn't be, oh, here you go again. No, if that's the person that you want to be with, you should be able to trust that he is actually going to do those things for you, and it not, cause any rifts in your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Wall Street Willie says the real question is the woman around her, are they supportive or are they typical? Who you have around you is very important. I saw a video the other day, and a girl, she's a TikToker, and she was saying, I can't date men in the confinements of my own mind. I need my friends to be able to be pretty much my sounding board. She wasn't, and I'm summing it up in other words. She used other words, believe me. But she pretty much says she can't date men by her lonesome. She has to be able to tell her friends to, if her friends say she's not doing too much, she's gonna do too much. And then her friend, and that's very important, because who you have around you and who you have in your ear. My pastor always says, whoever has your ear has your life. Whoever has your ear has your life. So whoever's in your ear coaching you or condemning you, and you're not even really realizing it, that makes a huge difference. And so that's why men are very cautious of some women, and the women that they get in relationships with, because they know who's in their ear. And that's something that women have to do, have to cut off when they get into certain relationships. It's not about being controlling. It's about knowing what is going to be beneficial to your unit and your, family unit, as opposed to what it was when she was just single, or what it was when she was just hanging with her girlfriends. It's not going to be the same when you join with a man who has a plan and has a vision for, y'all lives. Now you still trying to, hang with Nikki and Tammy. And Nikki and Tammy don't have nothing good to say about men. They don't have anything to good to say about relationships. They can do what they want, go where they want, and their money is their money. Those are the women that you don't necessarily need in your ear. You don't need them in your ear at all when you're trying to join with a man who wants to multiply in your life, because all they're going to do is subtract. And that has to be known. You, as a woman, you have to recognize those things.
Well, here's some challenges that I have with what you just said, and women specifically not being able to recognize them, because we want to give them the benefit of the doubt of how intelligent they are, how smart they are, how powerful, etc. they are, but then they show signs of following the wrong people, and it just debunks all of what we have built up in our minds about them. And when we share it, instead of understanding it's coming from a loving place, it becomes destructive instead of constructive, because they start taking offense to what's being said, because said people are influencing them. And so when we recognize all of that, I speak for myself. When I recognize all of that, I at that point really start getting discouraged in the type of characteristics that I found appealing and found pleasant about her, because I'm like, wow, was this um, y- a facade, or are you just that gullible or influence that somebody can change your mind quicker than somebody can get into your panties?
Mm.
Mm.
Well, all right. So, did we all go on this one? Women giving the effort. Let me see. All righty. So I have another uh video here. But just to end this one out, why men disappear after a while because women aren't given the effort. I think men should disappear. I don't think that men should stick around for a woman who's not giving him the effort that he believes that he should receive. I think that, men definitely hold a huge part of leading a relationship. And if he's not getting the attention, the effort that he thinks that he needs to be, validated and fulfilled in a relationship, he should disappear, never to return, never to return. He should go where he is appreciated and not where he is tolerated. And women will get the message and they will wake up, because at the end of the day, there's the conversation of who's the prize. But I truly believe that I believe that men are the prize, because there are just things that we can't do in our strength. There's things that we can't do in our knowledge. For a man to be able to, shake your hand and be able to break that thing. Yeah. What women can't do the things that men do. And I think that, women, we need men, and being able to appreciate and see the value in that, to me, makes me believe that, men are the prize. I couldn't imagine my mom not being able to look to my dad that way. You know, before they got married, she had her own thing going on. She was in the military, actually. But at some point he was like, yeah, you not re-enlisting, you ain't going back in. No, I need you, and she was able to say, you know what, this is the life that I want to live. I want to be married. I want to do X, Y, and Z. And so she was able to do that. But at the same time, women have to be mindful in the role that they play in making that man's life easier and a lot more pleasant. That's why men have women in their lives, for the pleasantries and the comfort and the companionship. And so, when women realize that, it should be easy for them to, see the value in a man. All right, let's see. There are things women can't do that men can't. Yeah, you're right, but
Yeah, you can give birth. We can't. We acknowledge that.
Yeah.
I think that we acknowledge that the problem is that you women, generally speaking, don't acknowledge what you can't do that a man can. We acknowledge what we can't do that y'all can. We acknowledge it, accept it, embrace it, and appreciate the fact that you're doing it because we can. Flip the table. Do you do the same?
yeah, there's just some certain things that I just wouldn't trust a woman to do that I would trust a man to do. Like if I was to call the cops, if a woman showed up, I'd be a little bit apprehensive. I would. Like, did they send anybody else? And as a woman, I could say that. Like, I wouldn't, I just wouldn't feel comfortable. I wouldn't think that she would be able to get the job done, and call it what you want, but that's just how I feel. There are just certain things that I would just feel a lot more comfortable a man doing. And there are a lot of things in this world that men have done, women just wouldn't be able to have got the job done. Bridges, roads, things of that nature. I'm not building them. Are you? I'm not doing that. I'm not working the railroads and things of that nature. No, I'll serve. I'll be a servant because that's what the Lord put me here to be, a servant. But yeah, I see the value in men, and I'll never not see the value in men.
Well, what's interesting is, I think our egos make the other one feel like why we even having an argument of prize or not. I think, and once I heard this, I embraced it. The prize is you or I, man or woman. It's the success of the relationship
Right.
that we have combined. And our ego is really what we're fighting on when we start talking about the prize being one or the other, because we both have benefits to the points that are being made. We both have benefits and we both have strengths and weaknesses, as Keep It 100 at all times says. So I agree. But when we talking about we both for the prize, that's our ego wanting to be a prize. I already understand what value I bring. I understand what value you can contribute. I understand that our values can complement each other. What I don't understand is why we can't combine them.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think both people have to have the attitude to want to serve one another. To me, is as simple as that. Not what you can gain from the other person, how you can serve that other person. And a lot of times, like you said, Sean, ego gets in the way. And there may be men who hear me say, "Oh, well, she thinks that I'm the prize," and it's like, yes, but a prize also has, there's a value that you hold to that prize. And just because you're a man don't necessarily make you a prize. I just find the value in men. A man that is not willing to serve his family and his community, I don't necessarily think is a prize. So just because you have the genitalia that make you a man don't necessarily mean that you're a prize, in my opinion. So we have to be careful how we, see things like that as well, because I do believe that we both have strengths and weaknesses. But just like a man may say a woman is a prize, not every woman is necessarily a prize. She's just a woman. All right. So
She said it, y'all, not me.
yeah, not everybody is a prize. I don't think everybody is a prize. There are some certain people that are irreplaceable. There are certain people that you just can't replace. And so you look at them as prizes because it's like, where else am I going to get this? Or who else is going to treat me this way? Or who else is going to have this outlook on things when I need it the most, when I can't see, certain positive outcomes, and she can bring that life and that, stillness and things of that nature. Not every woman can do that. Every woman can't do that. All right. Now we're going to talk about a video in which he gets into how a lot of people have gotten divorced, but maybe they shouldn't have gotten divorced. And he talks about why they did get a divorce and how it could have possibly been something that they could have saved if they would have taken these steps.
People do not need a divorce from their spouse. They need a divorce from the dance they've been doing with their spouse. It just don't work no more.
Right.
You stepping on my toes. I don't like it. I don't like doing this twirl every time. I don't like your hand in my back no more. I want to do hip hop now. I'm tired of doing the waltz. And most people walk away from the spouse of their dreams, from the spouse of their destiny, from the spouse that God wanted you to establish children with a generational blessing that would go for 1,000 generations. They walk away from it because they don't want to learn a new dance. They're so lazy they'd rather just get a new partner.
Right.
When all they need to do is learn a new dance. Uncommunicated expectations, that's the killer. Finances, you can recover from finances. You can gain it all and lose it all. If y'all still in love, it ain't gonna matter.
Right.
It ain't finances.
True.
It ain't kids. It ain't the house you live in. All of that's superficial. Are we communicating correctly?
Right.
Have I learned you enough to know what triggers you? And have I gone to find a voice that won't? Oh, I said something right there.
Wow.
We got to marinate on this one real quick.
So he said, have I learned you enough to know what triggers you? And have I gone to a place to find a voice that won't? And I think that's very important, because you can know what triggers a person, but will you actually go deeper and say, you know what, I know this triggers him or her, and I'm not going to say it, or I'm not going to do it, or I'm not going to act in this way. I think our Payne said last show, or maybe the show before that one, how he was about to send his daughter a text message, but he knew that it would send her off her rocker if he would have sent it. And so he waited and he didn't send it. And the next morning he got a call from his daughter that he probably wouldn't have gotten if he would have sent that message. So do we know, are we mindful of what triggers our companions, our spouses? Do we know what triggers them? And do we, mindfully go to a place that will silence that noise and won't allow us to carry out those actions that will further trigger them? Our Payne, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I say it all the time. You just got to know your partner. I mean, he sound like something I already said tonight. You got to, if you know your spouse, I said partner, I hate that word, but if you know your spouse, you don't catch everything, but communication is key. It sounded kind of cliche, but you just got to it's more of a willingness to stop things in their track before they get out of hand, right? If the dance needs to change, I agree, change the dance. Like if in the house that we live in, our house is comfortable for us, but it's our house, right? Everything is in here, and the routine of being in the house and keeping it up makes life routine. So sometimes we just got to get out of here and do a few things. You don't have to go that far. We just got to go somewhere else other than the house, other than our own bedroom, other than this once in a while, because it's all familiar. So you want to spruce things up, get some room service somewhere, do something like that. And some more important things with my wife is I know how to talk to her when I need her to get stuff done. I got to make sure I don't curse. I just I don't curse. She doesn't like cursing. She doesn't curse. And she used to shut down when I used to drop the F-bombs and stuff when we first got married. And then I caught on and I stopped doing that. And we have much better communications because she can't escape me now. Because she can't ignore me because I don't give her an excuse to ignore me. So I mean, so you learn those things. You should. And sometimes people don't learn, and that's why they have problems, right? So yeah, people, these days leave each other over the stupidest reasons, So whatever, I don't know. Breaking families. I want to graduate. I want to graduate.
Do you think people are, I want to say, brave enough to say, we've been doing this dance for a long time and it's not working? Because a lot of times we find that men are okay, some men are okay with continuing on in a situation that's not always a situation that makes him happy, right? Or
Hmm.
a situation where he's just tolerating what's going on and he's going through the motions and he's not having that that true and honest conversation. And neither is she, but more times women will let you know when they're unhappy, whether it's in word or deed. But a lot of times men, complacency, I would say, yes, that's the good word, a good word to use. They get
Yeah.
complacent and
Right.
they're, it's like, oh, there she go yelling again, or
Yeah.
oh, I ain't getting none last week, I ain't gonna get none this week. Like, you know what I mean? So do you think, people are really brave enough to really have those conversations?
Yeah, I think less and less these days. But you're right. But if you have a spouse like mine, she doesn't talk like that. She doesn't emote her
Mhm.
issues with me a lot. So I got to stay a little bit more tentative to her, because she won't. She'll just live a life of quiet desperation.
Oh
Right?
wow.
She'll still do her. When I say desperate, I don't want. She never got that desperate, but she won't say anything.
Hmm.
Right? So but she'll still cook the food. She'll do this and that. But I just make sure that her emotional piggy bank is always kind of at least half full, because like I said, I like to burn credits. So I don't know. It's just kind of weird, man. But I hear what you're saying, so I'll just end it there. I just think that from my standpoint, I mean, it's kind of funny because we just had a conversation tonight after all these years about uh, uh, getting in the mood and all that kind of stuff. Just recently, I came downstairs and my wife is doing her hair. Her hair was all out. I mean, all the stuff around the table, and she's got white hair, long hair, and she's doing it. I said, man, that's kind of cute, yeah, because she's taking care of herself,
Hmm.
right? Her nails are always done. And I kind of encourage her sometimes. Listen, you know what? You're still pretty. You might be in your 60s, but it's okay for you to pamper yourself. Go out there and I didn't say I'd give you permission, but go get some stuff. If you need it, go get it. You know, and it better just all be for me. I want to doll your ass up again. Yeah, but no, I mean those kind of conversations we still have after all this time.
Hmm.
You know, so I don't know. I just think that people drift, and somebody has to be brave enough to bring stuff up.
Right,
You
right.
know, and so sometimes I get her to the point where she brings stuff up to me, and then when she does, I have to take it. I have to be able to handle it without getting too, feeling hurt or emotional or all that kind of stuff. So
Right.
it's just one of those kind of things.
After 37 years, our pain, I would think that y'all are knowing each other very well. However, there's always, as long as we're
Something.
breathing and alive,
Right.
waking up each day, there's always something new
It's all
that
something.
you can learn. And being as though that she's a woman that doesn't emote, and that, and that what shuts her down when you
Yeah.
talk, you
Oh,
know. So now it's like, okay, no, I'm gonna keep you in this conversation. I just know the things that I can't say that will turn you away. Those things are important, because a lot of people may know those things, but they won't act on it. They'll still curse.
hmm
They'll
hmm
still, and nobody's perfect. But at the end of the day, at least, again, I think the word for tonight is mindful. Like, we have to be mindful of those things, because it shows that you care for someone, right? You're actually caring for them when you hear them, not only physically but emotionally and spiritually too. You can show someone that you're hearing and that you're listening and that you care for them by the way that you then emotionally and spiritually handle them in a way that you didn't necessarily do before.
Yeah.
So that's important. And I'm glad that you're on this panel because you definitely drop the wisdom that we need week after week for those who don't think that it's possible. For those who don't think that that women can be led in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Sean, were you gonna go or Hank?
Okay. What he said was very powerful. I thought it was poignant. The last part of knowing your person's triggers, I understand that. Here's what triggers me at times is that triggering is unresolved pain being brought to your attention. And I want resolutions. I want to be able to understand that we're going to grow out of these places at some point. And to just sit there and be complacent about it is sometimes what triggers me. And I'm learning how to have a lot more patience of possibly the change. But I find it that I'm not entirely there all the time. I'm very patient. But when it comes to repetitiveness and or redundance of something that we've addressed or something that you're familiar with that is triggering you, and you're not doing anything about it except continuously getting triggered with it, it is problematic not to you but to our relationship, because the reason why it triggers me is because I'm not thinking about right now you being triggered and it upsetting us in the moment. I'm thinking about when you're not able to maintain or control your emotions, and your emotions becomes detrimental to our existence. And that's what's concerning to me. And that's why it sometimes triggers me, or I don't have the patience, because those emotions not being able to be intact at the wrong time in our future becomes not just about you any longer. It becomes about us. It becomes about our children. It becomes about the existence that we're involved in, depending on what those dynamics are. And that is sometimes concerning to me. Not the fact that uh you're having these issues. The fact that you're not thinking to try to change. And the essence of maturation is change.
Mm.
And so when in fact we're maturing in our daily lives, in our and in life in general, that's what I look for. And I want us to be able to grow together. We don't have to grow at the same pace. We might not even have the same places that we need growth in. But for me to identify where you need growth and you to identify where I need growth, and we determine that is the case, but yet we don't put in any effort to grow in those spaces, is problematic. And that's what I think, how I think. And so it's very difficult. I literally had a conversation with someone earlier today, and I've been patient and not saying anything about things that I observed that were their tendencies. And it just so happened that it came up in conversation. As soon as I started speaking on it, they were triggered. And I'm like, yo, that's why I haven't brought it up in the past, because I understand you get very defensive when I'm trying to share with you something that you seem to have trouble with. And it's not somebody I'm involved with. I'm saying you seem to have trouble in your relationships in your life with these things. And when I bring it to your attention, you get defensive, and that becomes a cycle that discourages any relationship success that you could possibly have. And I just see the routine of you doing the same thing, you choosing the same people, and you thinking that it's supposed to be different. And I hate using the word delusional, because it seems so condescending, but it's sometimes the only word I can use. I'm like, yo, it's just delusional.
So you think that they have that problem, but do they think that they have a problem?
It's not about I think that they have the problem. It's very clear. Do they think it? No. That's why they're defensive. They're like, no, no, no. And I'm like, yo. And then I would say, here's what it is. You did this, they did that, and this is what happened. Again, you did this with another person. They did that, and this is what happened.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like I always say, only Jesus saves. You know, you can't save everybody. Yeah. Some
mean,
people come to
right.
realization that what they're doing in their life is just not working for them. And years later, she may hear your voice and say, I should have listened. That is the life of a lot of women. A hard head makes a soft ass, and that's something that I've heard growing up. It's sometimes you just got to wash your hands of certain situations like that, because if you know what triggers her and you're speaking to her in a place, or you're speaking to her from a place where you are not trying to trigger her, and you let her know that, and she's not being able to receive. Women, we're receivers. So if a woman is not trying to receive something, it either means that there's a blockage there for her, or she doesn't respect the person that's trying to deliver the message, or she just needs more time to hurt longer. That's just the reality for some women. They would rather hurt longer and not learn their lesson than to get out of the game and pull themselves together and act right.
And what did I just say earlier? I said it earlier, but then they stand on, I'm this intelligent, confident person, which I embrace. I said, okay, cool. But then you do things like that, which debunks a lot of what you speak of. And then when you debunk it, it starts sounding like you're not as um, practical, intelligent as you are claiming to be. And now it just sounds like all hot air. And then when you speak on the hot air, you're misogynistic, or you're hating, or you're being disrespectful, or whatever the other cases are. And it's like, where do we? How you, you're right. The way that I've learned to address that, remove myself,
Yeah.
because what happens is I remove myself, and they have the same issue with someone else. And then when we reignite or reunite, and they share with me some of the things and issues that they were going on, I'm like, well, I ain't say it. I'm out of it, because I usually become that scapegoat. It's just your opinion. It's just that's what you think, and I'm like, okay, you're not Jesus, as you just mentioned. I'm not trying to be Jesus. I am trying to be as close to him as possible, but I know I'm not Jesus. But I also know that if you're going to speak on Jesus, understand the principles of Jesus, and the principles of Jesus is to change, and changing in the loving way, and identifying that love is part of the principle.
Well, you got a little bit of Jesus, Hank. What do you think? Do you know your lady's triggers, or do you know what triggers her, and do you go to find a voice that won't? Um, you know, the Bible says dwell with them in knowledge. Do you know those things, and have you gone to find a voice that won't, trigger, and be mindful in that way?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely need to know your person, and if you know those things does trigger her, and you so happens to do it, you in for a long night. You in for a long goddamn night, and those are not good when you have to deal with them long nights, because those long nights can consist of whatever is going to be said that night, and could carry over to the next day. This time next year, it could be brought up again, because some ladies hold grudges. They hold them arguments. They hold them thoughts and memories. Talking about, you remember you did this? Like, God damn, I thought we resolved that shit. But I guess we didn't, because you brought it back up again. So yeah, you know, you just got to know who you with. And if certain things, you know, your tone may trigger her, or certain words you may use may trigger, you know, you try to make sure you stay away from those type of things.
Mhm.
But, you know, that's also vice versa. So ladies, same thing goes for you. If you know certain things will trigger your man, then you may not want to do those things, you know. So ladies, let me give you an example of one. Don't compare your man to another. Don't compare your relationship to another. Things like that will trigger a man.
Mhm.
Now, whether he says something or not, all that depends on the man. But I just gave your boy Hank just gave you a clue on the inside of man. Don't do that. don't do that. Another one is, don't bring up your ex. We don't give a goddamn about his black ass or white ass or whatever color ass he is. We don't. Why do you don't do that? Because now that lets me know you still got baggage you dealing with, and some shit you need to address. Some shit you need to get on somebody's goddamn couch about. Yeah, we don't give a shit about that man. So yeah, there's certain things, man, you just definitely need to how you should move and operate. And if you know certain things will trigger your man, try to stay away from him as best possible. Try your best. Now, you know, if it so happens, you better know what you need to do to get that man back in the right frame of mind. And if that means calm him down, if that means you need to cook a certain meal, or put on some certain body spray, or perfume, or give it up, even though you may not want to, or you too tired. You may just want to do what you got to do. Get that man back in the right frame of mind, because it's not good. It's not good. Now, I'm not going to sit there and tell you it's going to be a long night for you. More than likely, a man will shrug it off, move on, and keep it going. But fellas, please believe that lady will hold on to that. You may hear it for the next 3 days before you won't hear about it no more. And again, if you get into an argument and she breaks up this time next year, you know what's up. I believe it there.
What about certain websites that she catches you on and trolling up on that shit and triggers somebody? What?
I mean,
I don't know about all that.
What website is she talking? I guess maybe some of them adult websites. Is that what I assume she's talking about?
Guessing. She
What about certain websites she catches you on? First off, let's just dissect that. The problem isn't the website. The issue is she's catching.
Yeah.
So there's some type of lack of trust in there because she has to catch you on these websites. Now, if you was freely doing these websites, and she might be able to embrace a little bit. If she told you not to, and you're still doing it, then she's catching you. And again, you're being deceptive because you said you wouldn't do it, and you're doing it. She's not feeling confident because she catches you doing these things again. And women, if you're catching him doing something he enjoys and it's not hurting you, it's just hurting your ego, perhaps you need to allow him to do it. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, because what is it slowing up the sex life? Like, is he on the websites more than he's on you? Like, what? There's a lot to unpack there. But like Sean said, I mean, if it ain't bothering you and if it's something that he likes to enjoy and it ain't slowing down the relationship or taking away from the attention that he gives you, then that man's phone, computer is his to peruse at any point in time he wants.
Absolutely. And more importantly, you're trying to control him.
Right.
And it's unnecessary.
Yeah, some things. What was that song? Put it out your mind, cause it's jealousy. Like some things, women really, you just really have to put out your mind. I think I do a great job of just not thinking about certain things because I already know where my mind going to go. So I just don't think about it. I don't make it a priority of a thought, and that's a skill as well. That's a huge skill because a lot of women don't know how to take their mind off of thoughts that's going to have them in a spiral. And I refuse to spiral. So I refuse to put my mind on things that I can't control, that I can't handle. Like I just don't do it. And not necessarily saying that I want to control anything, but I know that thinking about something that I can't control is not going to help me. It's I can't control a website that a man goes to. So why the heck would I think about it all night long and be like, why is he on that website and why won't he get off that way? Now, like I said, if it hinders our connection and what we got going on, then yeah, that I will, say something about it. But I think I would probably know that you already like those websites. So it's not something that I should have to come back to, with you. I think sometimes a lot of people don't know who they're dealing with. They don't know who they're dealing with. And so because you don't know who you're dealing with, there are certain things that become surprises or catches you by surprise. And now you find yourself dealing with things that maybe you didn't want to, you never thought that you had to. Um, and you're crossing those bridges as you get there. But something as the websites, ask him. Ask him, do you like to go on a website? Does it help you sleep at night? Like what is it? What's the thrill? Just let me know.
Or join them. Like for example, have the website ready for him when he comes home from work. Hey, this is your favorite website, so I just thought it'd be here and engage. I don't know what the website is, so I'm not really encouraging specifics about a website because it could be the wrong thing. No, that was somebody else bringing it up. Now, if it is that, then that might be telling you something. And in all seriousness, if that's something that might, if you don't fight it or you don't resist it, it might add spice to your relationship that you're sitting there trying to, I guess, keep intact. So, I mean, I don't know if it is that. Maybe he does have some issues, some unresolved issues that he needs to get resolved, but maybe it's just something that he ain't out there doing it with another woman.
Yeah, I mean these conversations are valid. I mean, maybe he liked the way it's being thrown back on them videos, and you ain't throwing it back. I don't know. Maybe you just gotta get a little bit more vocal with what's going on, but don't penalize a man for something that's in his nature. I would never penalize a man for something that's in his nature. If it becomes obsessive or something that is just getting out of hand, I can understand that. But if it's knowledge that you have beforehand and you see it going on, then I don't know. I wouldn't put my mind on things like that because it's like that man is probably not around you for 60 to 70% of his day. Godly, if you thought about everything that he was doing in that time, you drive yourself crazy. And not to say that he's even doing anything, but if you put your thoughts on what he could be doing and you don't have no validity or no proof, you're gonna drive yourself crazy. Child, do something else. Get a hobby, read, do something else instead of thinking about what he doing all day. Okay. All right, we're gonna keep this one nice, short, and sweet, y'all, because I got to go. But what are your final thoughts? We had a good show. I appreciate you guys for being here. I appreciate those who are in the chat. Again, happy birthday to King Smith. He is celebrating his birthday, and that's why he is not able to join us. I believe he's traveling with his lady, Michelle. And so we wish them traveling mercies and a good time wherever they are. I know he said the beach. I'm just not sure which one. So definitely, when you have the opportunity, send some love to King, the actual King Smith on all platforms. Send him some love, some birthday love. It is his birthday. I think it's on the 4th, I think. But I could be wrong. But again, show him some love and let him know that you're thinking about him. We definitely miss you, King, but definitely enjoy your birthday. Have a great day. Have a great week. Have a great vacation. I'm looking for my final thoughts.
Yeah, happy birthday, King. I want to say that, and to Menelix, uh, watching the hub is gonna make man desensitized.
Yeah, good.
Have a valid point to that, but while he's watching it, there's a point where he's not listening. Maybe you need to jump on in or jump on.
Oh
But
my God. Yeah.
I think watching the hub is gonna make the man desensitize him. It may but that's his problem. That's not a problem that she should take on because he's doing it. Like you know what I mean? A
Yeah.
lot of women take on mentally a lot of things because they don't know how to verbally express themselves, and so mentally they thinking about all these things, and it's not good for the both of them. But and if that's a problem that he has, then you go to him with that. But it's a way that you approach a situation like that too, because again, you know, sex is in the nature of a man, and to have a lot of sex or to be sexual is in the nature of a man and a woman. I can't even just put it on a man, but it's more so with men. A woman can put sex outside of her mind and not necessarily act on it. Not saying that she won't, she may, but I think that with men it's just a little bit more, you know, not a lot of men are sexual. There are some men who are very sexual. It's just that's a sensitive topic to bring. So that's something that you have to definitely use your femininity with for sure.
Yeah.
You can't go in there with no type A personality. Like why you got this on again? You know, you you got to handle that with care. Again, if you care about somebody, you're going to handle certain situations with care. And if you see him watching those videos more often than not, and it's increasing and increasing and increasing, then that's something that you know you should talk to him about and say, "Babe, I see that you're watching these videos a little bit more um, than usual. Is there something going on? You know, am I not giving you the attention that you want? You know, what exactly is it?" And you have to get that clear answer from him and, you know, take him at his word. Now, a man has to be honest too. You would have to be honest, but if it's something that you just like, I don't know if
Well,
that's something that
well, to the point, it can, in all seriousness, get become desensitizing, but not as much as that rosebud. So let's really speak about it, ladies.
never had a
That rose
I
that
know.
rosebud, it definitely. Because guess what? The reason why it's less is more of a concern is because you can't mimic that feeling that a rosebud can give you, other than with a rosebud.
You can't. I
So
don't.
you now starting to learn how that something is exciting your body that a human can't do, and that's more desensitizing than
Just,
anything
it's
else.
just a new show, and somehow we turned into a new show all of a sudden. You know, we talk about rosebuds now.
Yeah,
We was just talking about
I can't speak on
desensitizing.
that. I ain't never had a rosebud.
Rosebud. I mean, I'm thinking about the movie.
I,
The
I
movie.
I don't think I think toys altogether are I I don't know. I think if you want to experiment here or there, that's fine. But toys altogether to me take away the connection that you're supposed to have with the other person. Can you add toys to the equation? Great. But to replace a person with a toy is crazy to me. Like I don't even know how women like I know they justify like, oh, as long as I have pros or you know, stuff like that. They lying to themselves and they lying to themselves and they lying to you because ain't no way, you know, I'm gonna be buying all these batteries and whatnot.
Well, Precious, in all actuality, they're really not lying. They're really in a relationship, and they're really removing. And to the point that was being made is they're desensitizing the actual feeling that you're supposed to have between two people,
Which
and
is
that's yeah, and it's really sad, but it's really popular, and unfortunately, I mean, go ask if you got girlfriends, go ask how many of them are aware of the rosebud and or a toy without a man.
The rosebud effect.
A very small circle. So in the circle that I have, no roses. Um, one is married, and the other one, I don't think. I mean, you might have to make me go text her, like, "Hey, do you use a rose? Stop it!"
You'll be surprised.
But what I'm saying is that it shouldn't take the place of a person. Maybe you need to give that up altogether. Maybe you shouldn't be looking at any sexual images, videos, anything. Maybe you know a lot of times that is a hindrance, even if you're just doing it with yourself. It's a hindrance to bigger things that you should be getting to, such as purpose. You know, things of that nature.
Ooh, speak on it.
When you know trying to catch a nut and you're not trying to catch purpose.
I learned that through I guess we won't turn it into that show. But the point being is that the reason why I say it can, uh, I'm not speaking of the other person. I'm speaking of myself, and I found myself performing worse because if I'm aiding myself, it's just about doing that and quick and getting to that point. Whereas I missed the point of them getting anything or them getting off when I start putting my mindset there. Or I'm not able to perform as I used to because I'm now performing to get there as opposed to performing to get them there and me there. So
That makes
it,
sense. That
it
makes sense.
sympathize.
So yeah, I mean, you do it as your own discretion, but at least you know that you know when you're going into intimate relationships with people, you know what your hindrance is. So you know that's another thing that you could be honest, open, and transparent with the person that you're with. You know, because I think that could be an issue too, where you just know what your hindering block is, and some people aren't vocal about those things, and so the other person thinks, oh, is it my fault? Is there anything else I can do? Things of that nature. But we're gonna get these final thoughts rolling around. We get out of here. All right. So our pain. We'll start with you. We'll go over to Sean, and then we'll end with Pink. I think you're on mute. RP.
Yeah, I got my other thing on. Sorry. Listen, it was a good show. Good videos. I think there's not much more to say. I think when people are determined to make things work, they can. I think that's really where it's at. The newfangled people, they don't have the tolerance that they should have. I think so much stimulation out there. They're always getting pulled in all these different directions. Maybe they talk too much in terms of confiding in people outside their relationships. That's a mistake. And I just say if you really want to be with somebody and you're married, it really ain't. It's really not hard. There's challenges, but it's not hard. It depends on how much of the vows you believe in. You believe in the vows, everything else should just be the challenges of life. And if you go in, as long as you're not cheating, which is the one big one, and the rest of it, you should be able to work out.
Yeah.
I think. Anyway, I'll land it there.
Thank you so much, Arpane. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me up.
Sean.
Well, thank you for having us again. Hank and Hank, always a salute. Final thoughts. Understand what to value and always keep that in your mind and on your mind. When in fact you are like about somebody, remember what it was that you did like about them when you started the relationship or whatever it was that made you grow the relationship into the place and space where it is. And to James' point a second ago, ultimately, marriage should be your goal. Now, I'm not speaking the institution of marriage, meaning that you have to have paperwork, but the thought and the concept behind the vows of the marriage. Living up to your word. The Lord's marriage wasn't about contracts; it was about living up and honoring the relationship. And so I challenge people to really honor their relationship, honor their vows, and more importantly, remember what it was that they honored when in fact they start getting bored or unhappy or things of that nature, because those things will shift, those things happen. But remembering uh, why in the first place uh, made fall for that person is always beneficial. And lastly, um, you can't get correction if you're not willing to take direction. And if you're not willing to take direction, there's no way you can get protection.
Mm, I like that.
It's
Thank you.
not mine. I got it from somebody, but I wanted to share it. Those are my final thoughts.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you, Sean, for joining us on this Thursday evening. Hank, final thoughts, sir?
Man, my final thoughts is, man, this is, I don't know, walking away from a spouse of my dreams. Yeah, that's definitely was a deep subject to speak on it and to mine out for sure. Uh, to even think about walking away from your spouse of your dreams, that makes no sense to me. None at all. So as long as your spouse did not cheat on you, there really shouldn't be a reason why you should be walking away, because everything can be worked out for the most part. Everything can be solved with a conversation. And if that conversation needs to be with a third party, it means you need to get a counselor, then do what you got to do. But to me, to walk away from a marriage just willy nilly, this to me, it's just immature. Somebody who really didn't take their vows serious. So hopefully that's it's hopefully that's not the case for well versed, well communicated, well functioning adults. Hopefully that's not the case with that, and hopefully it's just a skit that people see and that's it. But to actually do that, that sounds crazy to me. So, uh, guys, just be patient with it. When you get married, you going there for the long haul. You should be anyway. It means you need to get your lunch pail and your hard hat and ready to go put that work in. Ready to go put that pain in. Ready to go put that sweat equity in. That's what you got to do. That's what you have to do. Now, if you've seen some things prior to getting married, yeah, you should have walked away prior to us saying I do. But once you say I do, you should be in it to win it. But more than likely, she showed you all the signs prior to getting married. You just ignored them. Shame on you, fellas. Shame on you. So do better. Work on your communication. Work on your problem solving skills with each other, and just go from there. I'll leave it there.
Yes, 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 yes. I agree with that, Hank. I walked away from the spouse of my dreams, and that last clip that we played, he spoke about that and how people do that because they're not brave enough to have those conversations. They're not brave enough to have that open communication. And, they talk about this person being the man or woman of their dreams, and yet they're so easily ready to call it a wash and get a divorce because they don't want to have those open conversations. I would just say that my final thoughts for this evening. We said it plenty of times, but I think it resonates with me, and it's something that I'm always trying to do. Is just be mindful. If you're going to be in your thoughts in a way that you're thinking how to be better in your thoughts, meaning I'm not going to let my thoughts control me. I am going to be mindful about the things that I think about and keep my thoughts on things that are higher or of the greater good, or that's going to help people along and that's not going to hinder them or stress somebody out or trigger them. Right. So we have to be mindful and we have to have the open communication. I always feel like if you can't have open communication with somebody, you shouldn't be with that person. If you can't openly speak with them, you can't openly have conversations and talk about from the silliest thing to the nastiest thing to the most political thing to the, thing that you just wouldn't talk to somebody on the street for or with, you should be able to have open communication with the person that you're with. If you can't, it may be too early in your relationship. I don't know, but you probably shouldn't be with them if you can't get to a place where you could have hot conversations, honest, open, and transparent. I don't want to be with nobody that I can't be hot with. Nobody. If I can't be honest, open, and transparent with you, I can't be with you. If you can't be honest, open, and transparent with me, keep going. Keep walking. Don't even look this way. Keep it moving. Because I think that's important. I think in order to be real with somebody, you have to be honest, open, and transparent with them. And if you can't be real with me, I don't know what to do with you. I don't know. So I appreciate everyone who has joined us this Thursday evening. The next time I'm off is actually going to be Sunday. So if anyone is available on Sunday, we'll be here, same place, same time, 9:15 or 9:20. I forget when we started the show. But I will schedule that now so you guys can anticipate that. And you can look forward to that. I'll try and give you the, times on the show that I'm at the end of the show to let you know when you can expect me next. And so Sunday, if you guys are available, 9:20 p.m. Eastern, we'll be back having another great discussion. I appreciate all those who are in the chat, the super chats, our commenters who were enthralled with the conversation. Meredith, she gave some great gems, some great perspectives. All those who were here, thank you guys so much. Sean, was there anything you wanted to say before we got out of here, love?
Oh no, I was just when you said hot, I forgot about the acronym. It was like, I just need to be hot. I was like, me too, but I wasn't.
Honest, open, and transparent. Honest, open, and transparent. Because I try my hardest to be that way with people. We adults. What am I hiding something from you for? What am I not being honest about? Like, we're adults. Lying don't even feel good. It shouldn't feel good to someone to lie. It shouldn't feel good to you to lie. My mom and dad always told me, you tell one lie, you gotta remember all of them. I don't got time to be trying to remember stories when I could just tell the truth. So let's be honest with one another, whether it's in a romantic capacity, a parental capacity, a friend capacity. Be honest with people, because you'll be able to sleep at night. You know how many people got trouble sleeping at night? I don't have that problem. I don't have if something is keeping me up at night, something's really bothering my spirit. Something has to really be bothering my spirit. But I don't have trouble sleeping at night because I do my best to be honest with people, open and transparent. I get it all off on my chest. God gives us one day to take care of what's going on in that day. I'm not worried about the next day. When the next day comes, I'll then put my mind on that day. But you'll get some sleep when you're honest with people. You'll get some sleep when you open with people and transparent. Because then they have this saying, leave it all on a court. I leave it all on a court every day. Ain't nothing left. I ain't taking nothing with me tomorrow. Tomorrow gonna bring its own set of issues, right? So I'm gonna end this show like I end all shows. Be real with yourself so you can be real with others. Thank you guys again and have a great evening.